TV Next Media.
Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet Malhotra. A minor girl was allegedly sexually assaulted and murdered in northeast Delhi's Dalepur on the 7th of June. Police received a PCR call at 8:41 p.m. regarding the incident near Nehru Vihar. Upon arrival, they found that the girl's father had already taken her to the hospital where she was declared dead. The attending doctors observed visible injuries on her face suggesting sexual assault. A case has been registered and crime and FSL team inspected the spot. Multiple teams have been deployed to collect clues and apprehend the accused. As per the information shared by the victim's family to NewsX, the victim had left the house to deliver at 7:25 p.m. On her way, accused Noshad deceived her to unlock the door to his apartment. She was an innocent child. The victim helped him unlock the door. Later, the victim's neighbors alerted the victim's family, urging them to break into Noshad's flat. Her body was found chopped inside a suitcase. By the time the family rushed her to the hospital, she was no more. The accused Noshad, who is reportedly a biryani seller, is absconding now. Investigation in the case is underway and efforts are on to nab the accused. The police has registered a case in the police station under section 103, 66, 133, 2 of the Bharatiya Nyay Sanhita along with section 6 of the POSCO Act. We'll talk about this and try and make sense of this madness, if I can call it that. Brinda DK, activist, is joining us on the show. Tahira Hassan, activist, also with us on the program. Mr. Sanjay Sahai, former IPS, with us on the program. Dr. Aarti Bansal, senior physician, Indian Medical Association, also with us on the program. Last but not the least, Mr. Ellen Rao, former DCP, Special Cell, Delhi Police. Thank you everyone for being a part of this conversation. Brindaji, I'll begin with you. You know, the one thing that came to my mind is obviously the heinousness of this crime, and secondly, it also brought back those terrible images from 2012, which reminded us of Nirbhaya. But the difference over here is that this is a child and not an adult, and this kind of a violation and this kind of you know, a dastardly act leaves all of us speechless. You know, it also leaves us with this heavy heart that nothing has changed, Brindaji, in the last decade or so. You know, there was such a large hue and cry about what happened to Nirbhaya. The system was supposed to transform itself. You know, the punishments that happened thereafter were supposed to drive fear in the minds of these rapists and these murderers. But it seems we have failed, Brindaji.
Horrendous crime, an atrocious crime, and we, not only as the system, but as a society and a nation, have failed this child. And why is that? That is because we might have progressive laws, we might even have very, very progressive functionaries, but they are far apart. Not in a single case have we found certainty of punishment or swift punishment. We are seeing the cases getting dragged on and on. Some people say that culprits, rapists murder their victims so that there would be no proof. So then the question is, what is our police and forensic department doing? Is it so a case without that victim's testimony? Is it so difficult to put together all evidence and prove it to the court? And if so, why is it that courts are not being able to give that due punishment to the rapists and the murderers? Because we are talking about, a group of us say that we shouldn't have the death penalty. Of course, there is no solitary confinement in our country. But where is the fear of law instilled? Because there is no convergence between the police, the prosecution, and the judiciary. And there is no education being extended. We talk so much about Swachh Bharat and a lot of other things. Where are we talking about no violence on children? Sexual violence is a crime. You will be punished severely. You will be punished immediately. Action will be taken on you. Blatant impunity is something that we see everywhere. And children are children. Somebody lures them with something sweet or chocolate or fruit, they would go. Where are we teaching our children not to trust anybody, not just strangers, not to trust and go into anybody's house or go with anybody? Because we are also a very prudish society and community. We don't like to teach our children how to keep themselves safe or to call out when these things happen. A life is gone, and how brutally that man has treated this child. You mentioned that she was chopped, and when they took her to the hospital, she was already dead. Can you imagine the pain and the trauma that she would have gone through, not only of the rape, but also of the physical assault that this rapist has inflicted on her? All of this puts all of us to shame. All of us must hang our heads in shame that we are still not able to protect our children, and rapists go free because there are loopholes that judges, defense lawyers, prosecutors, in the police also keep adding and inserting and saying, oh, because of that, because of this. So it is time that our state agencies buck up, because it is their responsibility to prove that case, whichever way it might be. And it is not necessary that a rapist thinks that when the victim is killed, there will be no action taken against him.
You're absolutely right, ma'am. Mr. Sahai, in the West, especially in the United States, if somebody is accused or charged, with assaulting and raping or killing a child, even if they are released, they are always put in this violators risk list. Sometimes they also have to carry an ID on their cars also that they have violated or they have, contributed towards this kind of a crime in the past. Do you think the deterrence when it comes to rape, deterrence when it comes to driving fear in people's hearts has not really come into effect in our country, despite a number of high-profile cases, a number of publicized cases in the past? Mrs. Sahai?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
So I heard your question. So I'm still not able to fathom out as to what the police and the whole ecosystem is doing with regards to prevention. The instance or the example which you are giving of the United States is perfectly fine, and that will operate to some level. The whole problem here is whether we are giving enough importance to prevention, and prevention as a very clear-cut mode of avoidance. It is not a prevention where you go to a school and give a lecture and you come back. That sort of a prevention I'm not talking about. It's a very clear-cut in the very police angle that prevention is there, where you are able to identify which are the areas which are vulnerable, who are the people who would like to get into these acts. So there are enough ways, and there are different parameters by which these people can be located. But what we do in this country, only when the crime happens, then you bring him to a list where because he has been accused, so he might be a later person who will indulge in that crime again. So this whole gamut of prevention remains literally unattended. And I think that is at the core of the whole problem, and people, while indulging into these things, they realize that when they are in the initial modes of it, they will not get caught. And finally, this nature of a crime happens. That's point number one. Point number two, all these CCTVs and whatever we are talking about, I don't think they are worth literally anything. There are 1 lakh cameras in Delhi, which is run by the Delhi government, and there are some 10-12,000 cameras run by Delhi police. Those 1 lakh cameras of Delhi government, they don't do any crime and law and order, that sort of activities, and that is being meant for whatever it is, and that's supposed to be the biggest ever CCTV implementation in the world. So if technology we are not using for the purpose which it should be used, with a heart and mind and the expertise which can give you detailing, which can give you the people, and you keep acting upon it, fear is not going to come by speeches or by TV debate. Fear is just not going to come. Fear will come by what Brinda Adige says, that the whole, in a reverse engineering, final is the predictable punishment. If this case were to end in a capital punishment or whichever manner, in say sharp 10 days time, and it is doable. But what the whole ecosystem has decided to do is to change the law. It happened in the Nirbhaya case. So you change the law, and everybody believed just because of changing the law, everything else will happen, which are the precursors leading to that final outcome, and none of these things change. Because none of these things change. This is getting repeated over and over again because the chance of the person escaping even after committing offense of this nature still remains high. And people who are committing lesser offenses or creating huge amount of criminal activity but for rape and killing, I think they are getting scot free. So I think overall the nature of deterrence which we create and our preventive capabilities is just not whatever is written in the law that gets translated automatically without any effort. What is there in the law, what are the provisions of rape today, to translate them into reality for prevention and a reality for investigation leading into trial, prosecution and variety of other things and convictions till the level of Supreme Court. I think we don't think in these lines, and I would go by Brinda that we are working in silos. In a different language, I'm telling the same thing, that the whole criminal ecosystem works in silos and they are out there to prove that we have done our job even if the whole ecosystem fails. It is a terrible, ghastly offense which is just unimaginable, and needless to say that we have to hang our heads in shame. And today also, if we don't act, I think we will turn out to be a very feudal, barbaric society which cannot be proud of.
You're absolutely right. Taira ji, what do you make of this senseless crime once again? It's a child, for crying out loud, that's been violated here and killed. Every parent is going to be scared. Every parent is going to be living in fear as long as such predators are around.
Yes, very true. It's really a shameful, horrific incident that happened in the capital of the country. You know, our women, and our minor girls are not safe. Even the child is not safe. Few days back in Lucknow, 3-year-old girl, baby was raped, So even the child, minor girl, women, they are not safe in medical, whether they are medical colleges, school, colleges, is on a street or in bus or in the neighbor. It's really shameful. But after Nirbhaya, I again say and put the emphasis on that, we have very strong law in our hands. 3,000 crore Nirbhaya fund that has not been utilized since 2013. Why? The question is this: the accountability must be fixed. The states must come forward and give the reply on that. Why the women's security is not on priority? Question is this: why these darindas are fearless of the law? Why is not implemented on the ground? Because they know they will not be caught. And if yes, one person they will be caught, they will get away after committing the heinous crime, because the evidences are not collected properly. In which cases evidences are collected, the accused is punished and the victim gets justice. This is what I have seen. But when the evidences will not be collected and produced in the honorable court, you can't believe, can't trust you will get the justice, because honorable court will give the justice on the evidences which will be collected by the investigating agencies. It depends how the investigating agencies are going to collect all the evidences, how they are going to produce it in the courts. So I think it's really very shameful. But thing is this: giving capital punishment to 1, 2, 3 raised to rare case is not going to solve the problem. Increase the conviction rate in each case where the women's body is violated. The accused must be punished, and the action must be taken against the accuser also. That starts from that point, And the people on the responsible post, when they do the character assassination of our women, our victims, that they are going out with the boyfriend or they are wearing these type of dresses or the lifestyle. So what happens? This encourages these kind of people, that people in the responsible post are doing character assassination of women. Women will be blamed for that. So 3 years old and this minor girl, what kind of dress code they will suggest? This is the patriarchy again, I will say, that is a deep-rooted in our society. They made the guideline that women who just follow their guidelines, they are good women, and who don't follow, they will be punished. So what happens? This is what, if the girl says no to any of these type of darindas, so she will be punished. It is like that. So I think that whatever laws we have, that should be implemented properly. And the Nirbhaya fund must be utilized properly. Our buses with the panic button should work. Our one stop, one center should be working condition. I mean, these things are very important. Then only we can say that we have put the women's security on the priority. Not only by saying these slogans that Mahila Shashактikaran and this and that, you can't solve the problems like that. These heinous crimes, if really there is a state, there is a will to curb the heinous crime against the women, that increase the conviction rate.
All right, fair enough. Dr. Aarti Bansal, the mindset, the pathology of these criminals is also something that needs to be understood. When the FBI was formed, their primary task was to classify people who are likely to commit a crime. And once a crime was committed, their job was to figure out what kind of a mindset would have led to a committal of such a crime. Do you think that these kind of interventions or preventions are still unavailable in our country, and that is why we get to time and again see these heinous crimes come to life?
I wish to say something about prevention, because doctors, the major approach of any doctor is that prevention is better than cure. So many good things were spoken about the law and law enforcement. But how can we prevent this from happening? Number one thing is we should be communicating more with our children. And especially with the busy schedule, working or non-working parent, both kinds, mothers especially, with the busy schedule and preoccupation with so many other things of running a household and running life itself. So there is much lesser time, quality time is spent by parents with their children. So once we communicate with them, we can ask them about their interactions with people of family and family friends and strangers, what all happened in the day, what made them uncomfortable, which people are there who are attracting them or trying to lure them. And they should know also about good touch and bad touch, and what are the signs of alarm they should feel. If someone is trying to take them somewhere, then they should shout out loud for help. And they can even bite or pinch hard, and especially attack at the private parts suddenly to an unsuspecting person. So these and they can even have chili spray in their pocket. And they should be made to learn judo, karate, and black belt, even up to black belt level. But generally speaking, better communication, sensitization, and let them knowing the adolescent children should know what is right and what is wrong, and how they should protect themselves. And they should not be lured by any stranger or even close person. And another very important thing which I have come across as a physician is that when the child tells the family, in one case it was Poopaji, in another case it was Jijaji, and close relatives, cousins, father's cousins or mother's cousins, these people at times make bad sexual advances, and the child is hesitating and hesitant. Or even if he or she especially says, it may be even a male child. So when the child confides in parent, they hush up the thing. Arey nahi nahi, aise nahi hota hai. This is not like that. You are wrong. You are not taking the things in right stride. You are oversensitive. So we should believe in our child's senses and intuition, that if the child is thinking that something is being wrongly done, him or her, especially her, then we should take care. And whenever it is odd hour, we should take care of the protective efforts, that if child has gone somewhere, then the child should have a phone, then whereabouts may be asked about, and so many small other things may be taken care of. Communication is very important, sensitization is very important, and then believing the child's instinct and story is very important.
Right. And Mr. Rao, what the crime is, what the details are, we are perhaps past all of that. The biggest issue, the biggest concern here, sir, is the prevention. And that requires not only physical as well as a psychological infrastructure which has to be catapulted by the government, but it also requires a lot of sensitivity on behalf of the agencies who handle these crimes. What is your impression of what has happened here and how to make it stop?
Good evening, Vinay. That's a really very serious and shocking incident which has been reported here in Delhi. And I compare this case as more serious than Nirbhaya case, because in Nirbhaya case the victim was adult, and in this case this victim is only 9 years old. Now, if we are talking about the prevention of such type of crime, it's very important to understand whether these can be prevented or not. This can be categorized in three categories. Number one, the prevention can be made at the level of the families, parents, and our society. And whosoever sees such type of happening in the beginning, they should be definitely taken to the task and reported to the authorities. Number two, prevention can be done at the police level also, because that prevention infringing the fear in the mind of people, through that if they are caught, they will be punished very seriously. Thirdly, the prevention can be done at the stage of a trial. And in our country, that's the most important, most unfortunate part is that the trial of such cases is being lingered upon so many years. And you can see that Nirbhaya case was also ended after 7 or 8 years. So this is to be considered most important part. If the prevention is not done, then the investigation, then the detection and the apprehension of the person as soon as possible, and collecting the evidences against him very seriously. And for that purpose, the investigating officers and the police must be very sensitive about this investigation, and they should collect the evidences as soon as possible, accurately, and as per law, required by the law. In this case, I think that investigation is to be done. I think it's being supervised by the senior level, but the investigating officers are also need to be educated properly, because of, as per new law, the BNSS, Bharatiya Nyaya Suraksha Sanhita. Then procedure of investigation has been very explained in detail, mentioning the FSL, the reports and FSL role of the scientific investigation is much more given. Then if this investigation is done meticulously and the evidences are collected, and after that the charge sheet is filed very soon, and the trial is also started immediately, so that the culprit should become they should be punished as per law as soon as possible. In this case, I think capital punishment will be definitely, and it's a case of very gruesome nature and a rarest of the rare nature. And then in that case, the capital punishments must be awarded, subject to the availability of the evidence before the trial court and the speedy trial. I again emphasize on the speedy trial, because as soon as the persons arrested has been convicted, then the fear of that law will definitely prevail upon the minds of other people, and they will not think about to commit such type of crime. So the most important is that apart from the prevention, that the detection and the trial and speedy trial, that is more important, so that the people must be afraid of thinking, even not only committing the such type of crime, thinking in their mind that such type of crimes can be committed by them. So we need to accelerate all these things in tandem, and consolidated efforts are being made by the parents, by the society, by the administration, by the system, and by the police as well. In this case, I will also like to add that FSL FSL facilities are very delayed in our country. FSL, officers, the scientific officers who are conducting these examination of these evidences, they are very less, and they need to be increased. And also at the same time, the judges who are trying this type of cases, no doubt the special courts have been designated for these POCSO cases, and fast track courts have been established. But even then, if I convey it to you through your channel that even then in such type of case very much delayed trial is being done because of, I think, that scarcity of judges or scarcity of infrastructure in country. That's why the delay of trial is also being seen. So all these things are to be seen by the society as well as by the government as well as by the police, so that this type of cases may not be repeated in future, and the person guilty of such crime, they should be punished as soon as possible as per law. Vinay.
Vrindaji, also, the commonality when it comes to such heinous crimes has a lot to do with education. It has to do a lot with the socio-economic strata. Do you think that is an area which has been completely neglected when it comes to creating deterrence or creating awareness about such crimes?
Two things over here. The socio-economic strata might not be so important because, somewhere we are trying to be classist to say that, these crimes, these heinous crimes happen only in the so-called lower economic strata of the society, or in that strata of the society where people are illiterate and not very well educated. We must remember that these crimes happen everywhere. It's just that some of the rapists, some of those criminals are able to hide it and get away with it faster because they have the influence or probably the money. What we need to be talking about is an immediate overhauling, a reform of police and of the judiciary. Constantly we keep hearing that we do not have enough police. So many vacancies are there. We do not have enough public prosecutors. We do not have enough judges, because we know in our state that judges who sit in the POCSO case sit there for half a day and then they go and take over other cases. In a 1.4 billion population, why are more judges not appointed? What is the problem? Because only when the judges are appointed, only when we have more functionaries who can take care of all the procedures and processes required as per law, will you be able to bring these people to book. So while we might talk that these things are happening in the socio-economic, lowest socio-economic strata, and so it is so heinous that we are not able to give them that education, I think we need to understand that fear of law should be for everybody. We must also be able to bring across and put across to people that it doesn't matter which economic strata you belong to or the victim survivor might belong to. Crime that has been committed, there is sure, certain, swift punishment. And like Mr. Sanjay pointed out, we have enough intelligence, enough resources, and enough expertise to ensure that 10 to 40 days is enough to bring the perpetrator to book. Now, are all the other arms of the justice system ready? Why is it that we give Tariq pe Tariq? Why is it that there are adjournments? Why is it that there is no penal action taken when the perpetrator does not turn up or the lawyer does not turn up? So all of these are very serious questions which nobody wants to ask. And I think it's time for us to ask and answer it.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much for being here and giving your perspective. We've run out of time. Appreciate everybody who joined. This indeed is something which is going to be talked about. It is going to be a call to action for stricter laws and more sensitivity by agencies and of course the government to repel such criminals from doing and basically transpiring such heinous crimes. We take a short break. We'll be right back.
श्रीवास्तव जी सिर्फ 35